Tonight, tens of thousands in Washington and across the country protest what they see as out-of-control government spending. While in Minneapolis, the president comes on strong for his health reform plan.
I will not accept the status quo. Not this time. Not now.
I'm Jeff Glor. Also tonight, a massive search for a missing Yale student who was to have been married tomorrow. Meet one of America's toughest foreclosure judges. Tough on banks, that is.
This is the CBS Evening News with Jeff Glor.
And good evening. We begin tonight with demonstrations that took place across the country today, filled with those who say the government is spending too much, too quickly. In Fort Worth, Texas, an estimated 10,000 people turned out under rainy skies to condemn everything from health care reform to bank bailouts to potential tax increases. The biggest rally of all, though, was in Washington, D.C., and Nancy Cordes was there.
USA!
It was the largest outpouring of anger yet against the new administration.
No more czars! No more czars!
At one point, the crowd filled all of Pennsylvania Avenue from the White House to the Capitol.
I want our freedom, and we're losing it day by day by day.
They came from all over the country to protest the president's health care plan, the stimulus package, Washington's Wall Street bailout, and more.
We are here to give a message to Congress and the president that we are tired of them spending our money and not listening to our views.
I can't sit down while something this drastically harmful to our country is going on.
Homemade signs accused Mr. Obama of socialism, communism, and worse.
I think his agenda is to actually destroy this country.
I've met several people from Russia here today, and they're frightened.
The size of this crowd surprised even the organizers. Many people took buses to get here, others just came on their own.
The president has warned us that if we disagree with him, he is going to call us out. Okay, Mr. President, we are out.
The rally was the final stop of the 30-city Tea Party Express, an anti-government spending movement which gained steam over the summer. It got a boost from Fox News talk show host Glenn Beck, who urged his viewers to come today.
I am proud to be an American to see this. It makes you feel wonderful.
Many complained that their views had been dismissed by Washington. They could not be ignored today. Nancy Cordes, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The president, for his part, was not in Washington today for the taxpayer protest. Instead, he traveled to Minneapolis to address a campaign-style rally for his health reform plan. And as Kimberly Dozier reports, Mr. Obama came out swinging.
The president came to Minnesota's Target Center on a Saturday for his fifth health care address this week, a week the White House believes President Obama turned the health care debate around.
Are you fired up? Ready to go?
After months of dwindling support, a CBS News poll shows a growing number of Americans approve of his handling of health care reform since his speech to Congress this week. The White House believes the president has also figured out how to appeal to Americans who already have insurance, who may feel threatened by health care reform.
A new report from the Treasury Department found that nearly half of all Americans under 65 will lose their health coverage at some point over the next 10 years. Think about that.
And the crowd responded in an event that seemed more like a campaign rally than a health care speech.
We got to do something.
Anyone was welcome to attend today. Some 15,000 showed up, but mostly the president was preaching to the converted.
We need health care for everybody in this country, and we really need a public option.
And in an interview for tomorrow night's 60 Minutes, the president acknowledged that his campaign for health care reform does carry risks.
Once this bill passes, I own it. And if people look and say, you know what, this hasn't reduced my costs. My premiums are still going up 25%. Insurance companies are still jerking me around. I'm the one who's going to be held responsible. So I have every incentive to get this right.
You could see and hear a real difference in the president today. In previous healthcare events, when the polls were against him, you could hear it in his voice and see it in the body language. Today, he was relaxed and upbeat, really responding back and forth with the crowd. And the White House is taking advantage of that change in attitude. They've got at least 3 healthcare events scheduled for the upcoming week. Kimberly Dozier, CBS News, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And a reminder tonight, you can see the full interview with President Obama on tomorrow night's edition of 60 Minutes. On the eve of what was to have been her wedding day, investigators said late today there is still no sign of Yale University graduate student Annie Lee, who has been missing since Tuesday. Randall Pinkston is in New Haven, Connecticut tonight with the latest on this story. Randall?
Jeff, authorities say they have found evidence inside this Yale Medical School building, but they are not yet prepared to connect that evidence to the missing woman, 24-year-old Annie Lee. Throughout the day, rumors have swirled about a major breakthrough in the case, but at a late afternoon news conference, authorities announced more questions than answers.
We are not in a position today to conclude whether this is a missing persons case or whether criminality is involved, and I need to stress that.
24-year-old Annie Lee was working on a PhD in pharmacology at the Yale School of Medicine. Tuesday morning, she left her office and walked 4 blocks to her lab near the School of Nursing. Around 10 o'clock, a surveillance camera captured her entering the building. Just after noon, there was a fire drill, but Lee wasn't seen. When she did not come home Tuesday night, her roommate became concerned and notified authorities. An intensive search followed, with police using bloodhounds in an effort to find her. But investigators are keeping whatever they've learned close to the vest.
Why the reticence to give us any information at all? What is the
We have been
the secrecy?
There's not an intent to be secret. We're focused on conducting the investigation.
Thomas Kaplan edits the Yale Daily News. The campus paper first reported the story as a disappearance, not a crime.
I think that any incident like this always brings up sort of the concerns about going to school in a university in a city. If it turns out this was foul play, or something like that, I think that's really going to shake a lot of people up.
Lee was engaged to Jonathan Wadowski, whom she met as an undergraduate at the University of Rochester. He is in grad school at New York's Columbia University. They were scheduled to be married tomorrow. Ironically, Lee had written an article about security for a campus magazine, urging readers to take precautions. All cities have their perils, she wrote, but with a little street smarts, one can avoid becoming another statistic. The FBI says there's no person of interest in the investigation, but refused to comment when asked specifically whether Lee's fiancé has been ruled out as a suspect. Yale officials say there's no reason to believe that Annie Lee is a runaway bride. Jeff?
All right, Randall Pinkston in New Haven, Connecticut tonight. Randall, thank you. Coming up on tonight's CBS Evening News, one hospital's innovative way of dealing with malpractice claims. The H1N1 swine flu has claimed the life of a student at New York's Cornell University. 20-year-old Warren Shore died of complications related to the virus. More than 500 Cornell students have H1N1. President Obama said in his speech to Congress this week that doctors' fears of malpractice suits contribute to the rising cost of health care. He called for pilot programs that could avoid long, expensive lawsuits. But some hospitals have already done this, as Priya David reports tonight for our series, Prescriptions for Change.
When 34-year-old Jennifer Wagner found a lump in her breast 6 years ago,
Hey, I made it!
she headed straight for her doctor.
I asked him, I said, should I go for a mammogram? And he sort of poo-pooed that idea.
10 months later, a second doctor also told her there was nothing to worry about. But a year after that, another lump appeared. The doctors, both affiliated with the sprawling University of Michigan health system, had made a terrible misdiagnosis.
The ultrasound technician said, this is breast cancer. And I was just like, wow. After 21 months of it growing, it went from what could have been stage 0 or 1 to stage 3.
Furious, Wagner called malpractice attorney Tom Blasky, and they prepared to sue.
We would have started the war.
But instead of going to court, the University of Michigan health system did something astounding. It quickly examined the case, admitted it was wrong, offered Wagner a $400,000 settlement, and apologized.
That validation meant more than $1 million.
With the other hospitals, you don't get any of that. You just get the deny, 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 defer, defer, defer.
It's important to understand that litigation is not a search for the truth.
The policy of transparency and apology was initiated at the University of Michigan by Rick Boothman, who spent 30 years defending hospitals in malpractice cases.
Because it's a game, I could have found oncologists to say, oh, she's had cancer for 5 or 6 years. That delay made no difference in her staging. But that wouldn't have been true.
The policy started in 2002, and it's proven to be a shrewd business practice for the 40-member hospital system. Since then, claims against the system have dropped from 262 in 2001 to 83 in 2007. Fewer claims have allowed the system to drop its malpractice insurance reserves from $73 million to $13 million. And the hospital's new openness has another positive effect. With doctors less likely to be sued, they're reporting negative outcomes 6 times more often.
There's just a general culture that's come about here of being more forthright, taking responsibility, meeting it head on.
A win for the health system and a win for Wagner. Money from the settlement is in a college trust fund for her boys. Now in remission, she's able to enjoy her healthy body today and has peace of mind for her children's future. Priya David, CBS News, New York.
And for more on medical malpractice, you can go to our website, cbsnews.com/healthcare. Next up on tonight's CBS Evening News, think your foreclosure notice has a mistake? Well, one judge is listening. An estimated 3.4 million American households will receive a foreclosure notice this year, a full million more than last year. For many homeowners, losing the house follows almost automatically, unless, that is, they end up in the courtroom of one judge in New York. Seth Doan has details.
You grew up in this house?
I grew up in this house. This is my home.
After struggling to pay off a home equity loan, Pat Antrobus was facing foreclosure and thought she'd be forced from her Brooklyn, New York neighborhood and the only home she's known.
I could have taken out stock in Hershey's, Nestle's, and Haagen-Dazs, okay?
You were
and I'm
stressed
not,
out.
I was so stressed.
Though she'd tried to negotiate with her bank several times, relief came from a rather unlikely knight in shining armor. This man, Judge Arthur Schack of the Kings County Supreme Court.
My role is to try to do justice. So if the little guy can stay in his house, that's great.
Lenders need judicial approval to foreclose on homeowners in New York. It's usually a routine process, though not in these chambers.
Is there a way to characterize the papers that you see overall?
Not for publication.
As foreclosure filings have mounted, so have mistakes. It reminds Judge Schack of his days as a social studies teacher.
It's almost like students would ask me if spelling counts on a test.
He's rejected more than 40 of the 100-plus foreclosure filings that have crossed his desk in the last 2 years because of what some call small errors in the bank's paperwork, from incorrect dates and signatures to unclear proof of ownership.
I don't think it's a small issue when somebody lives in a house and you're going to disrupt their lives and take away their home.
Pat Antrobus agrees.
Here's somebody who actually is doing something because he knows it's right.
Do you see yourself as on a personal mission to protect the little guy?
No. I see myself on a personal mission to do justice, which means if the little guy wins, he wins. If the little guy loses, he loses, but at least he gets a fair shot.
And he does it with flair, sometimes even quoting Shakespeare. Or in this decision, he likens a lender to Mr. Potter, the heartless banker in the film It's a Wonderful Life.
Why is your writing so descriptive, so flowery?
to get the attention of people.
It certainly got Antrobus's attention.
I think of judges as mean guys in black robes dispensing justice, but I never thought that the justice was going to be for me.
The judge's decision enabled Antrobus to keep both her faith in the system and her childhood home. Seth Doan, CBS News, New York.
In Los Angeles, Dodger Stadium was the scene of an emotional public memorial service today. Vice President Biden led tributes to firefighters Ted Hall and Arnie Quinones, who died last month fighting the huge station wildfire north of L.A. You may not love baseball, you may not like the New York Yankees, but it seems no one dislikes Derek Jeter. And this weekend, the Yankee captain broke a remarkable team record. That is the focus of tonight's Weekend Journal. A man who is piling up hits, but more importantly, piling up respect. When you think about the New York Yankees, some legendary names come to mind. Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle. But as of this weekend, none had more hits in a Yankee uniform than Derek Jeter. It was this hit, number 2,722, that pushed Jeter past Gehrig.
It's still hard to believe for me. I never imagined, I never dreamt of this.
A long way from 1992, when a struggling Yankee franchise drafted a skinny kid playing high school baseball in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Quite a revelation. A youngster had all the tools that you needed in baseball, played with a passion.
Dick Groach was the Yankee scout sold on the pick, even though the club wasn't. Concerned he might play college baseball instead, Yankee officials questioned Groach. His response? Jeter's not going to the University of Michigan. He's going to Cooperstown, as in the Hall of Fame.
I was absolutely certain that he wanted to play professional baseball and be a New York Yankee.
The young shortstop became an essential part of a Yankee team that won 4 world championships between 1996 and 2000 and has made the playoffs in 14 of his 15 seasons. Along the way, he's contributed classic plays, helped along by his physical gifts, no doubt, but also by his mental makeup.
Well, I don't think I've ever covered anybody who wanted to win any more than him, and I think that really is his entire goal.
Which may be Jeter's signature contribution, an athlete who marries an unequaled competitive drive with the same commitment to character.
He's a very dignified guy. He's certainly never going to get in trouble, and that is great for a leader of a team, and it's rare in sports today.
Maybe it came from his parents, frequently in the stands. Dorothy, a former accountant, and Charles Jeter, a substance abuse counselor. Jeter talked about his values on 60 Minutes in 2005.
The number one priority is to be a good person, and I've always tried to be that.
And don't think for a second that his teammates haven't noticed.
He's a wonderful human being. He's a great man. He's a great teammate, and he's just he's done it, with a lot of class and done it the right way. That's for sure.
Jeter said this summer with a smile that he'd like to play shortstop until he's 41 in 2015. If that happens and beyond, he might make a run at Pete Rose's all-time Major League hits record of 4,256. That is the CBS Evening News tonight. Later on CBS, 48 Hours Mystery. I'm Jeff Glor, CBS News in New York. Good night.